Alright, so I'm going to cover the Road Trip trilogy, which includes, I guess, Road Trip, Euro Trip, and Road Trip Beer Pong. And all actually, all they know, Euro Trip isn't really connected to these three. It has no characters or story plots from the previous film, being Road Trip. But it's a fun movie. I have the trilogy set here. But I also have Road Trip unrated, its own thing, its own, DVD case. Bought this from Shopko a long, long time ago. One of the first movies I bought after moving out here. So, yeah. So the story is here that Josh and Tiffany have been together since the beginning since they were kids. Since they were kids, and they grew up as friends. They became more than that. But then, like most stories, they went to different colleges. Because this ain't no sitcom on NBC. Yeah, Saved by the Bell college years. But, so they went to separate colleges. And so, Josh, played by Breckin Meyer, is at Ithaca with his friends Barry, played by I want to say Tom Arnold, but I know it's not. Tom Green. So Tom Green, Ruben, played by Paulo Costanzo, and E.L., which I don't know if we ever figure out what E.L. stands for, played by Sean William Scott. And Tiffany, played by Rachel Blanchard, and pretty much just a cameo, is going to the University of Austin in Texas. And so it's like a long-distance relationship thing. Josh is sought after by Beth, played by Amy Smart, who is sought after by Jacob. And I don't know who he's played by. I don't think I've seen this actor in anything else other than this movie. But he's one of those creepy nerd guys that just kind of lingers around. And there's even a scene where they go to EL's party, and she begs him, hey, because she's up, this is illegal, but they're going to vote for dates. They're not selling sex, but they're selling dates. And she begs Josh to bid on her because she knows that Jacob is going to. And so he runs out of money, but EL is the one running it. So he gets he wins. And he makes an excuse like, oh, you're a TA. So TAs don't count. Which is kind of funny. But that night, Josh cheats on Tiffany by having sex with Beth while recording it on videotape because that was Beth's idea. And so the next morning they find out that apparently the tape has been sent to Tiffany in Austin, Texas. So Josh, EL, and Ruben, along with I'm going to say new friend, Kyle, because he has the car, set off on a road trip to Austin, Texas to stop her from seeing the tape. And that's our plot. So right away, and this is the first time I actually thought of it this way. How do you root for Josh in this film? He cheated on his girlfriend. Well, they do give some kind of a reason. He thinks she's blowing him off. Because every time he calls, she's not there, and her roommate could have told him what's going on, but she's like, Tiffany is not here, and you need to stop calling. That's basically, she was a bitch. Had she explained what was going on, this never would have happened. So clearly, it's the roommate's fault. But afterwards, he doesn't answer because he's mad at her. She leaves a message saying that her grandfather passed away, and she's at her folks' house. Now, her roommate could have explained this, but she doesn't, because we gotta have, where he thinks she's blowing him off, and so then he cheats with Beth. So now he's on a journey to Austin to stop, did I say Barry goes with? No, it's EL, Ruben, and Josh, along with Kyle. Barry stays behind, because he doesn't want to go, and he gets to feed Ruben's snake, which leads to a hilarious thing where the snake bites him, because it won't feed it first, and then when he's distracted, it attacks his hand. So But yeah, there's a lot of detours on this trip that I think are supposed to be funny, but the only one that really comes off as funny is when they go to an all-black fraternity. And then Ruben says he's a member of the fraternity in the Ithaca chapter, and they're all black. And then they do this thing where they call Kyle a racist. Kyle faints and it's a joke, and they party there. And then Kyle meets a woman. She's a big, heavy-set woman, African American, of course. And that we get the line, "I boinked her." And he shows the big ass underpants. That's funny. But there's other detours, such as going to Barry's grandparents' house and finding out their last name is Manilow, so his name is Barry Manilow. And we have an old man who's been in a few Adam Sandler movies, notably Big Daddy. He's the guy at the bar. "Fight me, pussy!" That guy. And his whole joke is that he has a boner for the whole time because he takes Viagra. Not really worth anything. And then there's Sorry. There's another one like they take Kyle's car, but it blows up because we have to have distractions. And then this alerts Kyle's dad, played by Fred Ward, whose name is Earl here. I'd like to, I never made that connection before. His name is Earl. Is he the Earl Bassett? In that case, where's Grady Hoover? His name is Earl, and I'm like, did they just call him Earl? Really? It blew my mind. His name was Earl, and wow. But yeah, and that actually that leads to Kyle, standing up to his parents, but they don't really do anything with that because then they just have his dad beat him up, which I don't know. They get into a fight. I don't know, but and then there's another subplot that doesn't really go anywhere where Beth visits Barry, and Barry mistakenly tells Beth that they went to Austin, Massachusetts. Because he is stupid, you see, but he's in college, so I don't know. And so she goes to Boston, Massachusetts, to a different Tiffany with the same last name, and confesses that her boyfriend, not saying his name, but her boyfriend cheated on her with him, leading her to attack his car, which is revealed that it's not the right Tiffany. She goes back, she yells at Barry. It's just filler. But, the story progresses with our main characters is, it progresses very well. Eventually, they take a handicap bus, and then they're out of money, so they have to go to a sperm bank, and there's this thing with EL and this lady milking the prostate or whatever. That's kind of funny, but is it needed? Not really. There's a scene, because I forgot to mention here, is that Barry is telling the story from his point of view. So I don't know if he creates this scene, but there's a scene where Beth is talking to these girls, these women, college girls, in the female bathroom, or whatever, co-ed bathroom, whatever, and they're all like topless and stuff, which, yeah, they do call this out in the sequel though, when they do the same thing, but it's just like, yeah, it's gratuitous, but I think this is for the unrated version. I think it was in the theatrical version, maybe. I feel like they wouldn't play this in theaters, that scene in theaters. I think it's just the unrated version. It's the only version I think I've seen. They may have had their R-rated version on TV before, like the HBO or something, but so they finally reach Tiffany and they intercept the tape, but while Josh is distracted, she puts it in, and luckily for them, Barry recorded over it. Yeah, Barry recorded over it. So, yeah. The whole trip was for nothing because Barry recorded over it. Why didn't Barry say anything? Because there wouldn't be a movie. Oh, I recorded over it. You're fine. No, there wouldn't be a movie otherwise. But, yes. And we find out through Barry that, we see that Josh and Tiffany decide to break up and be friends, and then they rush back because there's another part of the story where Josh has a midterm, and Jacob has not got an extension for him like he said he was going to. And so he has to rush to get there in 48 hours. And Ruben teaches him the ancient philosophy or something like that in 48 hours using wrestling, which I thought was kind of cool. Although he does refer to Socrates as the Vince McMahon of modern thought, which I don't know if you go that far. But yeah, and he gets there and finds out there was a bomb threat called. He was like almost an hour late. I mean, over an hour late. 57 minutes, I think. Almost an hour late. And there's a bomb threat. And we find out that Beth, which is obvious, Beth called in the bomb threat so that he has time to get there. Which was all very timed very specifically. I feel like, I don't know. It's a little iffy. But he does get there. And we find out from, Barry that not only did he and Beth get together, he passed his test. Ruben, who has been the pothead of the group, went on to revolutionize marijuana, making a new kind of marijuana. EL hooked up with the prostate lady, and Kyle mended things with his parents, mostly his father, and brought his girlfriend over there. And then Barry stays at Ithaca, makes out with the mother in this tour group, which she will come back in the sequel. That's what I realized. Like, yeah, they brought her back, and they bring Kyle back, but that's it. But yes, and yeah, and also Beth and Josh are gonna make videos still, so they didn't learn their lesson, so that's cool. But the moral of the story is, if you cheat on your girlfriend, everything will be fine. Basically, I mean, he cheated on his girlfriend. She never found out. They ended up splitting anyway. And he ends up with the girl he cheated on her with. How's that for a moral to the story, eh? Well, for Road Trip, I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. It's enjoyable. It's fun. I recommend it. So yeah. So before I go, I was gonna start with the song, but I forgot. So we'll end with the song. So let me get my fake guitar. This is the song sung by Tom Green in the film. And it goes a little something like this. Tiny salmon swimming in a stream. Tiny salmon chasing the impossible dream. The minor bird says, "Ah, ah." The chimpanzee says, "Ee." The hungry owl says, "Hoo," or mighty owl, whatever, "Hoo hoo." But the salmon can only say, "Blue, blue, 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 blue." And it's sad. So, let me know in the comments below what you think about Road Trip. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. And oh yes, the songs will continue. See you in the next one.